Thank you, Anisha. Thank you so much for joining this conversation talk show, which is extreme gratitude. And I'm really grateful to you for the knowledge and experiences that you are going to share on this conversation, especially about parenting. Um, I am very close to this topic. Personally, I like this to know more about this. And I know we all do parenting. Some people do consciously, and some people do unconsciously, right? But I believe knowing this in detail will help, I think, everyone, right? So I
True.
welcome you on this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, Anisha. So before we jump into some technical details and all, if you could give some brief idea about yourself, how you got interested in this topic, especially.
So, honestly, I was never someone who thought that will be interested in kids or parenting related stuff. But once you have your own, you automatically get into it. When I gave birth to my daughter,
Mhm,
I was 23 years old and
mhm,
I had nothing much to do. So I started posting the stuff that I used to do with her on Instagram.
mhm.
And eventually I started getting followers and all. And matlab, people could connect with me because I used to post a lot of raw and real stuff. So that
Mhm.
way they could connect with me, and that's how I got into this. Honestly, I don't promote any particular type of parenting, be it gentle, conscious, whatever. So
Okay.
I don't follow a certain set of parenting. I neither conscious, gentle, or anything of that sort. I just try to share all my raw, real experiences, like how they're keeping me awake at the night, or what is difficult, or what is good, or what are the things that I do with them on a
Mhm.
regular basis. So that way, um, I think that moms feel I'm relatable that way, because instead of showing a perfect picture that, oh, my child is perfect in everything, or oh, my life is perfect, I try to portray good and bad sides, both of it, and that way the content becomes a lot relatable. So
Correct.
I'm not someone who particularly focuses on sharing something about parenting. I'm just sharing my life.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean that
Yeah.
helps. I think people can connect with real stories. I mean, not
Yeah.
only the goody stuff. Okay, I want to ask more about the initiative that you are attached with. Like Tiffin box and all that you are doing, right? So what is that?
So I was randomly making, like, I used to see a lot of reels or posts related to different stories, and I was really intrigued to try. Okay, let me try, and some of them turned out really well. I just used to share a story that, okay, this is what I gave today, this is what I gave tomorrow, and I realized that different stories used to get maximum replies. That, okay, what is
Uh-huh.
the recipe? What is the recipe? So I thought I'll just quickly shoot while I'm preparing a Tiffins only. So most of
Uh-huh.
the time I have phone in my hand while I'm preparing. I just wake up like 5-10 minutes earlier so that I
Uh-huh.
can shoot simultaneously.
Uh-huh.
And I try to make easiest of recipes, because honestly I'm not a very good cook. Okay, I can, like, basic stuff and all is fine. If someone expects me to make something very tasty and all, so I don't think I have that. But of course, when it's about your kids, you're ready to put all the efforts
Uh-huh.
just so they can relish the meal in the school. So
Right.
I think everybody liked the fact that I put really easy recipes, which takes barely 5-10 minutes, no prep time and all, because you
Mm-hmm.
don't have that sort of time when you're making the tiffins.
Right.
So I started posting, and I used to get really good response. Even if not statistically, I used to get a lot of DMs saying that, oh, we just open your page every morning and we are like, okay, aaj ye, aaj wo. So that's when I was like, okay, this is something that I need to keep doing, not just for my page, but for moms who really look up to the options.
Right, right. I mean, it's a very nice way to create a community, right? I mean, like you had not planned probably, but somehow the community got created. It seems like that, right? So good.
True, true.
Yeah.
Honestly, anyway, I have a different full-time work. So
Mm-hmm.
Instagram is purely community for me. All that I post here is genuinely to help out of my experience, help small brands, help startups, and also Instagram is family that ways, like a virtual family, wherein I
Mm-hmm.
genuinely recommend and do stuff that I would want them to use.
Right, right. Okay. Uh, what in your experience, what is that mindful parenting? Like, what do you do? Of course, you honestly shared that okay, you just did it like that only. You kept on recording the videos and all. But what you have learned so far in this parenting topic, like how do you now you're able to raise your kids and how it is helping you. If you can share your experiences in general, whatever you have in your mind.
With my first one, I felt it was really difficult because everything is very new to you.
Right.
But in case of second one, you're like, yeah, this is very natural. ये तो होना ही है. So you're way more prepared in your second one because you've already seen everything in first. Though both the kids are totally opposite, but ultimately the main parenting remains the same. So that is being mindful. Of course, a lot of reels and a lot of parenting coaches on Instagram have guided that way. I was someone who had bad temper issues, but I'm working on it now. If I feel angry, I try to take deep breaths instead of reacting immediately. Or if I have scolded her badly, I make sure that I'm apologizing later and taking control of my mistakes as well, and not just always pointing out. I make sure that I apologize later on, that I'm sorry, I was in a bad mood, or I'm sorry, but you shouldn't do something like this. Like putting both sides in front of her. So that way, I've definitely become very mindful. Earlier, I used to just hold it and I'm like, it is okay, this is my power, I can do it. But eventually, after watching so many videos and going through so many things, I've realized, no, this is not okay. Then they'll also grow up thinking that, okay, once they are older, they have the power to control the ones whoever they can dominate, whoever is younger to them or weaker than them. So this is something that I've learned over the time, and I'm trying to take responsibility of my mistakes as well, not just teaching her mistake, but also taking control of mine.
Right. No, that's good. And what do you think, in your experience, the best way to teach kids, any topic that parents want to teach?
I think repetition is very important, and visual learning helps the best. So if I'm teaching a particular topic, I teach them in 4 or 5 different visual ways so that it becomes easy for them to retain. Telling something orally is never something that they can retain for a longer time. So visually, through flashcards, through worksheets, use good books and all. So use multiple ways, multiple tools of using a particular topic is what has helped me.
Okay. And mostly some people say that the kids do whatever the parents do, right? They literally mimic what we do. So do you, in your experience, of course, you must have, your kids have done the same way. How do you you and your husband become more aware that, okay, whatever you are doing in front of the kids, that should be because they will catch up like that, right? So what do you do, and how do you become self-aware?
True. Earlier there would have been times where fighting between couples is normal. There would be times when we used to fight in front of my elder, and also eventually we realized that she takes it too much in her head, and then she remembers everything, and then she would repeat it in front of others, or it would affect her. Right. So now consciously we decided that, okay, not to fight in front of her, not to share, like not to do stuff which might impact her mental health that way. So and apart from that, we try to show a positive relation between us of ours with other family members, and also that kids realize that, okay, family is important, or whatever is important, taking time out for her to do stuff that she likes and all those things. So of course we are way more conscious than how the previous generation was.
Correct. And Anisha, I have observed कि जब हम बाहर जाते हैं रेस्टोरेंट में, so many parents बच्चे को अगर बिजी रखना है तो they give phone, right?
Honestly, when you're just alone, then it does get difficult. I am not against 100% screen time. It's fine. I think if you want to enjoy a little peaceful dinner time, I'm okay to give a little screen time. I'm not saying we should 100% rely on it. Of course, if you have gone in a group, or if you have other people, if you have friends, then you can expect them to play around and enjoy that way. But if you're alone and you want some quiet time, it's okay to engage them a while in the screen. I'm not in favor of getting them addicted to it, just rely on that. Like when we went for a holiday, we went for a 5-6 days holiday, and not even once did we allow her screen time. So when we have gone with holiday with them, for them, that is when we really need to engage them with things that are around, with by doing things with them. But then there are times when you also need some time for yourself, some quiet time, so that you as a couple can also have conversation, or you as friends also can have conversation. So I don't think occasional screen time is harmful if you're doing it consciously.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. And what about food habits? Like because nowadays, kids get, like very addicted to, outside food or not so, healthy food. How do we, make sure that, they get really good food, during their, in school time, or whether outside also? How do you take care, or what do you suggest to people?
I think it's important to balance. If we'll give them nothing, like no fun food, then they'll obviously do it in excess whenever they get an opportunity. So I think it's important to maintain a balance around in 7 days, at least 1 or 2 meal, not 1 or 2 entire day, but 1 or 2 meal can be something that they really relish. Apart from that, it's important that you make home cooked food. Also, now there are so many options for munchings and biscuits and all that are healthy millet made stuff. So I try that whenever I add those extra things, be it with milk or be it as an add-on in the tiffin, I try to put everything that is millet based or that is healthy alternate. So in their mind, it is something sweet or it is something that they like. But at the same time, it's not that unhealthy. I'm not going to say that it's very healthy because ultimately it has sugar and everything. But at least a good substitute to the regular biscuits and regular stuff that is there around. But yeah, of course, you should maintain a balance. If they like noodles, you can prepare noodles once in a while. If they like pizza, you can always make it at home. And while you're out for a dinner, let them have 1-2 things. One thing that I always follow is anytime if I take them out for dinner or any party, I make sure that I feed them a little before we step out. Because if they're very hungry, as soon as we reach, they will have too much of it. So if at least they have eaten something, then the urge and the craving is less, and that way they don't hog on a lot of it. So this is something that I always follow.
Okay. And see, kids when they are at early stage of life, like 3 years to 5 years, I mean, people say that the belief systems created during that stage, right? So how do you make sure they understand the different values or social skills during that phase of life? Because when we go to school, schools are mostly teach about math, science, social studies and all. But what about life skills? How to love someone, or how to apologize, how to receive appreciation, how to appreciate people, right? Do you do such things with your kids? Or
I don't do it consciously, honestly. It depends on what kind of example are you setting for them. Are you apologizing? Are you thanking? Are you saying the please? Are you empathetic? If they're doing something wrong, are you letting them know that no, you broke someone's heart and it is not okay? And if somebody is hurting them, let them know that okay, please tell them that okay, this is something that is hurting you, not to repeat it. So my daughter's 3 to 5 went by in COVID. So that way the social skills were really bad because she was indoors all the time. But I think setting a right example and a right parenting approach is important. So all these things happen eventually. If a child is bound to, like, a lot of it is genetical also, to be very honest. I mean, there are few things that you cannot control. It is just there in their nature. You can try working on it, but there are some things that can never change. The best that you can do is always set a right example, show them how empathetic you are, show them how it is important being kind, not just to humans, but animals. Everything starts from home itself. So start by setting a right example of how you are treating your house helps in front of them. Explain them how they are supposed to treat the house helps and all. So I think that is something that is very important. I get very furious if she is not minding her tone when it comes to talking to her house help and all. I would make her apologize and do stuff. So that way, this is something that I'm very strict about. You cannot disrespect someone irrespective of their job description. So that way, I think setting the right example in their surroundings is important.
Right. And what would you suggest to moms or parents? Yeah, like if they are working, if both are working, how, because this requires a lot of work. you know Whatever you're doing, it requires a lot of work, and parents can be there all the time, right, if they are working. So what do you suggest, how to manage these things?
So my husband obviously works full time. I'm also full time working, but I full time work from home for my brand and for Instagram page. So that means I'm around them all the time, but maybe I'm not present in the situation. I'm around all the time, but my mind is probably somewhere else. I'm working and stuff. So the best things that I do is I make sure that when I'm with her. Suppose getting her ready in the morning, making a tiffin. So I get involved in these things so that she knows mom is around. During the daytime, mom will get busy, she's working, but whenever I'm giving her a shower or preparing a tiffin while she's doing the breakfast, I make sure that I'm sitting next to her, I'm having a conversation while dropping her to her bus stop, having a conversation, asking about her day when she's back from school. So a healthy balance. She knows that I'm busy in work and I'm not going to be available mentally, like to have a conversation all the time, but I try that whenever we are involved in it completely. So we try to go on for a drive for 35-40 minutes every day as a family of 4. So that is our us time where no one is working. It's the night time. They're about to take a nap after that. So that ways we get a little family time wherein it's just the 4 of us bonding together.
Right. And do you believe or do you promote homeschooling, or do you feel that kids should
I
go to
use a
school?
lot of homeschooling products. The brand that I work with, Class Monitor, is all about, it's not homeschooling, but it's home learning kits. I think physical schools are very important. That is something that teaches you a lot more skills apart from education. But this is everyone's personal call. I mean, I like to teach her stuff when she's back home, but I'm not someone who would promote homeschooling at 100% level, because I think school teaches so many other things that are way more important and above education. That is what I feel. They learn to do their own battles. How to come out of it, how to protect themselves, how to protect their friends. There are so many things we don't even get to know, but it's there, and they're learning it unconsciously or consciously.
Correct. And in recent times, we have seen kids having ADHD issues, right? So what do you think, what is the cause for this, and what parents should do?
Honestly, I don't know what's the cause of it. Maybe it's the change in food habits that is there. Maybe it's the change, or maybe it was always there, but we started noticing it now. See, we never know. There is no proof that it wasn't there back then. Maybe we named it something else back then. To be very honest, I don't know how to deal with this. That's what I hope no parent has to go through this, but there are a lot of therapies, a lot of options. I think it's very important to create awareness around these topics. There are a lot of times parents are not even aware that the child is having actually some mental problem. They might be thinking, no, he's just lazy, that's why he's not doing that, or maybe he's just he just gets irritated easily, that's why he's not doing that, because of lack of awareness of issues like this. So it's very important that we create awareness and regular checkups around these problems, especially so that everybody is educated in this area and can be mindful and treat their child in a better way.
Right. Anything else that you would like to share? I have these few questions in my mind which I wanted to ask, but is there anything that you have learned in your experience, or you have seen other moms doing, which you could share, which can help audience, especially if you could talk about mental health? And I think it's probably very early stage for kids to worry about mental health, but I think is there anything specific that parents nowadays should think about kids' mental
I think
health?
it's important, one, that there should be regular counseling sessions in schools wherein we get to discuss that, okay, how the child, and there should be a counselor in the school as well. So that if a child is feeling trouble, there are a lot of times the kids are not comfortable in sharing stuff with us, but they are way more comfortable with their teachers that way. So I think for schools, it should become mandatory that there should be child counselors. So that if anytime teacher feels that a child is not behaving in a certain way that they should, or looks a little abnormal, like not their routine self. So I think it's very important that school should have a counselor, so that even the counselor, when having a conversation with child, share with the parents that okay, this is something that is going on in your child's head. Maybe you can be more conscious at home to work around these points, and vice versa.
Right.
If a parent feels that there is some change in child's behavior, they should immediately talk to their class teachers, school teachers, or friends around to see if there was something that has happened, or is it just a growth spurt. See, a lot of things happens with kids. There are hormonal changes, there are growth spurts. They go through different stages. They all of a sudden started learning things that they never thought existed and all. So sometimes the kids are free enough to share with their parents. Sometimes they're free enough to share with their teachers. But anytime I think parent instinct, and especially motherly instinct, is very, very, very strong. So if any point of time you feel that there is something unusual, maybe not something big, but a little unusual, your child doesn't feel like their own. Because aisa to nahi tha, what has happened suddenly? I think it's very important that we take action immediately, because a mother knows. You're watching them 24/7. You can't be just making up stories in your head. There must be something for sure that the thought is entering your mind that okay, your child is behaving differently. So believe in your instinct. Be in touch with the school authorities so that you know what is going on, what is not. Maybe 90% of the times there is nothing. It's just a change of environment, change of routine or whatever. But that 10% time can increase if we don't take an action immediately. So that is what I feel. And because now the kids are so highly exposed to social media and gadgets and all, there are things that they have access to which we couldn't even imagine when we were kids. I mean, I was in 10th when I got my first phone, and now kids from 2nd, 3rd class have their own phones and they have access to things. So we should always be attentive of what they are having access to, what they are watching, what they are learning from, what they are absorbing. How their language is changing, how their tone is changing. Are they picking up some wrong stuff somewhere, or is it something very good that is impacting their health? So it's important to be attentive. I mean, you can arrange countless houses for them, or you can provide them best of facilities, but if you are not around them, if you are not present with them and attentive with them, then I think it might affect them in a long run. I mean, maybe they might end up doing stuff that they shouldn't because there was no one to guide them at that point of time.
And
so that is, I think.
And when you're saying, I was just thinking that it's more of a correcting nowadays, because they get exposed to so many things, as you just said, right, which they should not be aware of. So they learn it unconsciously, and they put it into practice, of course, because they learn it. So it's more of a correcting rather than teaching them, so is it the case?
And you can't even correct them a lot. There has to be a tactful way of doing that. You can't be just saying, no, this is not no. Nowadays there is too much debate around why do you use so much no. I mean, I'm like, yeah, let us breathe. Kya kare, kya nahi kare. Now the scenario is that everything that you've been doing, every thing that you have been grown up with is apparently wrong. Everything that you're doing is wrong. Don't say no. Don't say. So at times the pressure that you have as a parent has become 10x, because everybody can see you. Your life is out there on social media. Everybody, not just as a blogger. Right. Normally also people post a lot of stuff even if they're not blogger.
Correct.
And because now there is so much more visibility. Earlier it was just school and home and nobody gets to know what happens behind those closed doors. Now because everything is out there, you have this insane pressure of one, making sure that your child is behaving nicely. Otherwise everybody is going to say, oh, this is what you post, but your child is like that. I mean, now everything is so out there. You have to become all the more conscious about everything that you do, not letting it impact your child. Correct. So I think in a way it has helped, but in a way it has put a lot of burden on parents.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And Anisha,
Because
for
of
that,
too much visibility, there is this insane rat race.
yeah.
Everybody is a part of this uncalled, unseen rat race that looks like never ending.
Right, right. And Anisha, I want to appreciate you for this thing, because you have two daughters, you are managing them, you are raising them very mindful way. Plus, you are putting out this content for people, and you try to be, as you said, you want to put the honest stories, right? So I can even not imagine, like कि आपको कितना काम करना पड़ता होगा. I mean, so I just want to ask,
Actually,
like,
when you're honest and real, तो काम कम करना पड़ता है because you don't have to
yeah.
make up stuff. You just have
Yeah,
to
but it takes
be
time.
fair.
It requires a lot of
More
time,
than
right?
time, I think it takes a lot of courage. Initially,
Yeah.
it used to, I used to feel very conscious, but when I
Mm.
realized that it is generally helping so many moms out there, that's when I realized that okay, it takes courage, but I think it is something that I should do.
No, good, good, good. Really good. And for that only, I want to appreciate you कि इतना सारा कैसे करने का, because
Thank you.
and for that I want to ask you, like, how do you manage your mental health? Like, how do you, like, do you do some meditation, or how do you maintain your peace basically with all this activity?
I don't have time for meditation and all, to be very honest. My work keeps me sane. So when
Okay.
I'm working for my brand called Class Monitor, I think that is a break from my kids. And when I'm with my kids, that is a break from my work. So I don't, of course, there are times when I feel mental blockage, when I feel that, okay, I can't take it anymore. That is the time you catch up with your friends, you watch a movie, you give yourself a break in different ways. You can't run away, you can't give up on things that you love. But make sure that you take these breaks time to time so that you don't go through a bigger mental break. So, so as to avoid a breakdown, take a little breaks in every few days.
Correct. No, good, Anisha. I'm so happy that you have taken this, topic in a very positive way, and like you are happy, doing this work, raising your kids and all. So good. Keep on sharing all these stories, and I'm sure many moms will be getting helpful. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm done from my side. Anything that you want to share?
No, I had a great time sharing my experiences and sharing what
I'm sure you have so many other things to discuss, to talk about, but yeah, because of time limitations, yeah. But
Stan, I think we've covered most of it, and let's see, maybe we get one more chance of sharing it all over again.
Yeah, probably on specific topics where you could share much details and everything.
Someday we can, for sure.
Yes. Thank you, Anisha. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
It was lovely. Thanks a lot.
Bye. Bye, Anisha.